with 3 road games. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for the Hilltoppers. McNeil, Cosby, Hunter, Rostov, and then Justin Johnson averaging 17.5 a game. And for the Rice Owls, Connor Cashaw, Max Garcia started 110 consecutive games. Marcus Evans leads the conference in scoring. Igor Kulichov. It's a huge upset win for Rice at Western Kentucky. We're underway tonight. The Hilltoppers will control first.
Well, Brett, look for Western Kentucky to establish their inside game early. They're going to try to really pound it inside if they can, and great offense from their inside players. There's the touch, and now let's watch Rice.
The extra pass ends up heading out of bounds, and it'll be Rice ball.
Well, they were coming with a double team, and Coach Rhodes worked on that really a lot in practice, so be aware of the double team and see how they handle that double team throughout the game.
Andrew Drone with the catch, splits the double team and can't get the ball to stay down. And a rebound to Johnson. McNeil with the basketball. That one off the window and down through from Rostov.
So 2 big guys for Western Kentucky. It's not a one-man showdown, though, Brett. They've got 2 guys, 2 double post interior presence and threats inside.
Drone ready to go to work again against Rostov with the baby hook shot, and that won't fall either.
Well, I like Rice going inside. I think it's a way to go at those big guys. Sometimes you're afraid to go at big guys, and big guys can get in foul trouble. So I like that Rice is going inside and trying to establish as well.
Wide open look, and he gets the friendly roll. And the Latvian player, Rostov, with a couple of field goals. Rice averages 74 points a game, trying to find their first here this evening. Connor Cashaw to the rim. Not a good angle, but he banks it home anyhow.
Well, he's picking up where he left off last game. He had his career high, Brett, and he really was aggressive to the glass. He can drive it, and now he's even getting his shot to fall. So a really good-looking freshman to play alongside Marcus Evans. Just 2 good freshmen at this level in Conference USA. 2 of the best.
16 against North Texas. That was the loss in Denton last Saturday. Justin Johnson, the big scorer for the Hilltoppers. Wildly off the mark there and drone the standing rebound. Our first look at Marcus Evans. He can't hit. Kulichov fighting for the basketball, but Chris McNeil comes out of the pile with it. This is the WKU team that has won 20-plus games each of the last 3 years. They're 9-7 this season. Their conference win came in overtime against FAU. Evans with a good find. Kulichov with the 3-point effort.
That's a good look for Rice. That pick and pop is deadly. When you have Evans and Kulichov in the pick and pop, you've got to make some adjustments defensively. He was wide open. That's a shot he normally knocks down, Brett.
Cosby with a give and go. The jump stop in the paint. And there's the whistle. Let's take a look at your keys to the game, Ben, for the Hilltoppers and out.
Well, Ray Harper wants his team to establish defensive consistency. So for Western Kentucky, they've got to do that and establish their interior. They can play through their post. Rice has to defend the paint, and Mike Rhodes wants his team so desperately to put 2 halves together. They've knocked on the door. They've had some great halves, but they just haven't put 2 together. And when they do, they're going to be on their mark.
They've had some lulls that have hurt them. And let's face it, both of these teams playing with somewhat limited numbers for their rotations, which makes managing fouls and minutes always a challenge.
Well, it does, and as a coach, that's a dilemma for you. So you've got to see if you can make some adjustments. Your players have to make those adjustments. But I like the key. I like the fact that teams are and their coaches are emphasizing those at this point. But let's look at Ray Harper. You know, we take a look at Ray, and boy, he's had so much success wherever he's been. Won national championships, Division II. He's come here to Western Kentucky, and he's really had his team winning games and active. And his teams have played better defense, that's for sure. So he's trying to get his team to get back to that defensive formula that's been such a staple for his teams.
4 national titles in his career. Another miss by Evans. Now the Hilltoppers on the push. McNeil trying to probe for some open space. That ball was deflected 2 different times, and there's a whistle. going against Marcus Evans. And that will not please Mike Rhodes, the head coach of the Rice Owls, in his second season. What a job he did last year, going 8-10 in league play. And really the win that tipped the season towards a positive at the end was the victory on the road at Western Kentucky.
Well, that was a huge win, as was the win in the tournament over at North Texas that had defeated Rice twice, and they blew North Texas out. So really showed great strides last year. And Mike Rhodes will get this program going. There's no doubt about that.
Ben Lawson often goes with the left hand, went with the right, and the 7-footer from England got the friendly roll. Good beginning for the Toppers.
Well, Mike Rhodes wants his team to get in on those double teams a lot quicker. They're too slow to form. You've got to get that ball on the catch. And they've got two guys in the low post, and they must crack down and do what they call their double team scheme and get in there early. Brett, they can't afford to get there late on double teams.
Marcus Evans looking for a seam. There's Kulichov from the elbow. Good-looking stroke. First two tonight for Igor Kulichov, the Russian, and the transfer from Arizona State.
That's a great sign, Brett, when he can knock down that shot. We know he can shoot the ball, but for him to pull up and use that medium-range shot, if he can add that to his repertoire, boy, he's impossible to guard.
Fourth leading scorer in Conference USA action. It's a 3-point lead for Western Kentucky. Aggressive double team against Johnson. Long three-pointer won't fall. Letcher Ellis tried to keep it alive, but the rebound comes down to Hunter.
Well, watch Justin Anderson, Brett, and how well he's had a lot of assists on the year. You can run their offense through him, and he finds guys. He's really adept at that.
There's Johnson strong to the rim. Letcher Ellis got the rebound, and he was hit hard. Hit the deck, got a foul, and we'll step aside. Fun beginning to this one here at Tudor Fieldhouse, Western Kentucky, up 5-3.
Adjustments defensively that some of these new rules have brought on, and we'll talk about that later, but his teams have done well offensively, and now he's got to do well defensively.
He lost two great players last season, Price and Fane. There's Letcher Ellis with the and one, a young freshman from Houston, who Mike Rhodes termed an alive player.
Well, Brett, let's look at this now with Fletcher Ellis, Marquez Fletcher Ellis. He just is so active. He's long, he's 6'7". He's really adept. He can shoot the three, get to the glass. But look at Rice's lineup on the floor. They've got three freshmen in this lineup, and they'll play a majority of the game with young players on the floor. So you got to like the future of this program. These three players out on the floor now in Marcus Evans and Fletcher Ellis, and obviously Connor Cascio. What great promise for this Rice Owl basketball program.
Well, it's a big foul as well, because it was the second on the 7-1 junior Ben Lawson, so he has to sit. Anton Waters checks in replacing him, and we're tied at 7.
I like Rice as being able to push them out on the floor. Western Kentucky not getting deep position. That's a key in post play. Don't give up deep position. Get that post player off the block. Here's the double team. Here's the kick out and the rotation.
McNeil. The pass in traffic, and Kulichov. Rice with numbers the other direction, and Evans couldn't catch.
Well, that's a tough pass, but you mentioned the defense, and that's great defense on the other end of the floor, and really, that rotation. The double teams are key. You've got to rotate on double teams. You've got to X back out. You are no longer guarding your man, Brett. You are guarding somebody on the backside, and it will not be your man. You must rotate out to have effective double teams.
No Toppers made their first two shots. They've gone 1 for their last 6 with some turnovers mixed in. This Rice defense starting to ratchet up the pressure against Justin Johnson and company.
Well, I like the unselfishness from Western Kentucky, but in my book, they're a little bit too unselfish. They've got to attack, and they're looking to give the ball up and pass a little bit too much. You've got to make players guard you. So attack the basket. When the double team comes, then find guys. They've really got to make Rice pay for their double teams, and they have to do a better job getting to the rim.
See if the Owls can get Marcus Evans going. Leading scorer in the conference, controls the basketball. Ben, you and I have worked together before with this Rice team. Obviously, teams want to stop Evans.
Well, they do, but they also have to do a good job of keeping Big Andrew Drone off the glass and keeping the other players like Cascio getting to the rim.
Slow beginning for the Hilltoppers. That'll help. Cosby, the triple, and a foul.
Well, Aaron Cosby can fill it up, and here's Harrison Docks, Chris Harrison Docks, who's used to scoring, finding him. That's just good ball rotation, finding guys. Rice didn't get back in transition and paid the price. Both of these teams can get into transition and do it well, so you've got to get back and establish numbers. That's all about numbers in transition.
Well, three-pointers, no stranger to the Hilltoppers. 889 consecutive games with at least one, and that's a 4-point play.
Well, it is, and only 5 teams in NCAA right now can boast that they have scored that many three-pointers in consecutive games.
Letcher Ellis switches hands and scores with the left.
Well, you better get back in transition and get him, Brett, because he's all over the place, and he's so active to the glass. You've got to get back there and find him in transition.
Chris Harrison, Doc's a good three-point shooter, being defended by Drone well away from the basket. Docs lets one fly. Johnson the rebound. Johnson averaging 17 and a half a game, nearly lost the ball and did, out of bounds to Ronnie.
Well, how about that double team, Brett? They brought Andrew Drone to the inside shoulder. Very important when you double team. You get to the post player's inside shoulder. Andrew Drone comes, he's 6'10", and he gets him to hurry it. So that's an effective double team. You're not bringing a guard down there. You're bringing the tallest and biggest man in this gym on that double team. That caused Justin Johnson some problems.
Letcher Ellis, he's been fun to watch here in the opening minutes. He got baseline and he can't finish with the flush. But more free throws for the young freshman from Houston.
Well, how active has he been, Brett? He's just all over the place. Watch this post-up play. A little bit of hook. Got away with one, but he's so quick. That's what happens when you're quick. The officials don't see it because you get away with the move. But he got to the rim. He got by his defender, and there's just no helping, no stopping him because he's to the rim so adeptly.
Nigel Snipes got toasted. He made the hard foul on Letcher Ellis. Harper wanted maybe a foul on Ellis for using the elbow to create. You can't hit the free throw. Our officials tonight: Rick Crawford, Larry Spaulding, and Kevin Mathis.
Well, veteran crew. They've been around, known those guys a while, and I always tell these guys they look better from my seat now than they did at the bench. But it's true, Brett. You take a look at what they do and the mistakes they make. They make so few mistakes, but when you're on that bench, you don't see things quite the same way you do when all of a sudden you're away. But these guys get after it.
You're telling me the perspective changes?
Absolutely. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I can vouch for that. You do see things differently, but you know, officials now are aided. It's really good that towards the end of games and half they can go to replays. It never used to be that way. So officials are doing a better job of getting plays right. That's so important for these coaches and players. They deserve to have the right call in the games, and officials aren't afraid to go in those monitors and correct themselves if they need to.
Hilltoppers a 1-point lead in the ball. This is a team top 40 in the country as far as shooting percentages, almost 48% a game. A slow beginning though here tonight.
Well, there's a double team and there's a rotation. An excellent job by Rice rotating. Just picture perfect, getting to the rotations and Xing out.
Shot clock at 2. Harrison Docs didn't hit the window. That should have been a violation. Mike Rhodes wants a shot clock violation instead of a jump, and the officials are going to confirm.
He does. Now the question is, was there possession afterwards? And no, they did rule. So Mike Rhodes had a very good point and argued his point and got the ball. So that's good to see. I like officials to be able to get around. But here's the play winding down. 3-2-1. Now when the shot is missed and goes up, that should be it. And you know, they could argue it hit the rim. I don't know, but
you see the shot clock at 0, no possession.
Doesn't make any
a good
difference.
call.
Yeah. So as it turns out, that's the exact right call.
That's as calm as Mike Rhodes will be tonight. I guarantee you.
Well,
he brings the energy, and it comes from that Shaka Smart system at VCU, where he coached under Shaka for so many years.
And I sent my son to his camps in the summer. I said, take it easy on my son. Don't do too tough on him. But he just gets after everybody. You love his encouragement. His players respect how hard he coaches them. But players don't mind being coached hard when you know that you have their best interest.
But he's without Marcus Jackson. Ben, this was a preseason all-conference player, a sophomore, and a guy last year averaging 15 points a game. That was a huge loss for Rosen.
Absolutely. They really still are reeling from that loss, but they don't have time to feel sorry for themselves. They've got to find different ways.
How about the big man giving it to the smallest man on the floor? Leads to an open 3 from Bishop Mency.
Brett, if Bishop Mency can find his way, and he struggled mightily this year, this young man can shoot it. Trust me, we've seen him before last year, and he can really fill it up. But it's all about confidence with Bishop Mency.
Tell you what, I wanted to ask Mincy before the game if his family members won the Powerball because he's from Chino Hills, California, where the winning ticket came from.
Why not? It's a good way to look at it. I'd sure play it down there, but it's great to see Bishop step up and hit that shot. Now a good backdoor cut. Well, here you'll see as we go to break, Brett, here's a backdoor and what a great look for Max. You find a third scorer, Brett, and it's a lot more difficult. The floors get spread. Now you can't get down and help against a third scorer. So it's huge.
Is on the bench. Kulichov backs up for the triple. And the rebound into the hands of Chris McNeil, and then he drew the foul. And that's a silly foul on Andrew Drone. And with both teams so short-handed, the last thing the Owls can afford is Drone to get a second foul 80 feet from the basket.
Well, right, and that's a frustration foul, and the coaches will talk to Andrew. You know, he's a competitor. He means well, but you've got to really use your head when you're on that end of the floor. As you mentioned, Brett, 94 feet. There's not much you can do to stop your opponent from there.
Both teams center, 2 early fouls. And maybe another turnover by Western Kentucky, and it is. So the Owls will try and push.
Rice doing a very good job defensively. That's been a big key because they've got to go down and stop a very efficient Western Kentucky offense.
They have forced 5 turnovers from the Hilltoppers here in the opening 9.5 minutes. Max Gersey with the lob, and Letcher Ellis was at the rim, but then he gets the putback. That's 8 points for Letcher Ellis. Here's a kid last year who played with Ben Simmons at Montverde Academy when they won the national title. What a team that must have been.
It was a great team, and look at his persistence. He gets a shot block, doesn't worry about it, goes up and gets his shot right back and scores.
And there's turnover number 6 for the Hilltoppers, taking them out of offensive possession.
Well, Mike Rhodes has to be extremely pleased with his defense because he's really focused on that all week. It's just been about his defense, and you've got to play defense against Western Kentucky. They're very efficient, and they're well coached. You've got to get in there and get stops. It's all about stops.
Great give from Gersey to Kulichov. Leads to a 3, and a friendly roll from Bishop Mincy. What great ball movement by the Owls.
Well, unselfish play. You've got drives, you've got kicks, and you've got players now that, as you mentioned, Brett, stepping up as a third scorer. That's just huge for Rice.
Mincy came in shooting 16% from beyond the arc. He's hit a couple of triples, and another turnover by Western Kentucky. Ben, let's go back and look at this ball movement by the Owls.
Well, here's a screen, here's a drive, a backdoor, and a kick out. They're trying to protect against the backdoor, as you should, but now they find Mincy again. Mincy's off to a great start for Rice Owls.
Can you teach being a good passer, or is that just court vision?
Well, I think you can. I think it's got to be something you want to do. I always felt players can pass when they want to, Brett. You know, I'm of that belief as a coach that everybody's capable of passing. Sometimes you want to pass. I'd always ask players, did you see an open man, or did you just not want to throw it to him? And that's putting them on the stand, so to speak. They had a tough time answering that one, but because if they saw him, then you're selfish. And if you didn't, then you need to see him. You need to do a better job. But players, I think, can pass, and they can be taught to pass, no doubt.
Hilltoppers could use a basket, trailing by 5 after an early lead. Aaron Cosby. Cashaw hit the deck. Johnson keeps it alive. Scoop attempt won't go, and Western Kentucky's out of sorts.
Well, they're hurrying themselves. They're really in a hurry against this Rice defense. That's what good defense does. It gets you to play at a pace you don't want to play against.
Kulichov has that type of range. Missed badly. Letcher Ellis hit the deck. Rostov, I believe, with the personal. Indeed, that is the call.
Well, you know, for some people, that last shot by Kulichov looks like it's way out of his range, but he can knock that down. Here's the shot. Here's inside position, and that's a good call, Brett. You know, you've got inside position, and he just got thrown to the ground, so the officials caught it, and they made a very good call along the baseline.
Marcus Evans back in. Talk about threading a needle. Kulichov couldn't catch. And now a run-out opportunity for the Hilltoppers, but a partially blocked shot. And Western Kentucky maintains possession. Cosby. Cashaw the rebound. The seam parse for Cashaw. The basket.
Rice really getting out in transition. Why, Brett? Because they're playing great defense. It's all about defense. Hard to get out in transition if you don't get stops.
Defense has certainly triggered the offense. A 7-point Owls lead. Western Kentucky needs a basket.
Well, let's watch the transition basket. We just talked about this. You get a block shot, and now here comes Rice in transition, coming up with a loose ball on a scramble, and good spread, good floor spread. They can take it to the basket. Transition always comes from defense.
Freshman Connor Cashaw read that perfectly, got to the rim for the easy lay-in.
Well, now they're going to their 3-2 defense. They're going to see if they get some traps out of it. But they better get out on that young man, because Aaron Cosby knows how to thread the needle from deep. That's the one thing they have to do better, is get out on Aaron Cosby.
Cosby had a game where he had 8 3-pointers earlier this season. He's hit a couple from distance tonight to keep the Hilltoppers around, down by 4.
Well, you've got to get out in zone and identify shooters. That's the difference in zone. You don't have a man, you have an area.
Marcus Evans will not be any more open than that, but he can't hit. He's still scoreless in the game.
Well, he may shoot better with pressure on him, Brett. We've seen him hit shots, but sometimes hitting that open shot, you got too much time and your concentration sometimes goes.
Conference's leading scorer has not scored in nearly 13 minutes of action. The Owls still have the lead. Anton Waters. Chris Harrison docks. Now with the shot clock inside 5, Waters has to go, and he throws one in from the baseline.
Well, that's a tough-looking shot. That was a great baseline penetrating move and a pull-up, something to avoid the charge. Very important that you players can pull up along the baseline and knock shots down. Now both teams playing a little zone. I think Western has decided they really want to make some adjustments to stay with the zone.
Fletcher Ellis gets to the basket again, but draws another foul. We'll step out. This has been a fun back-and-forth game. But Connor Cashaw with the layup to lead the Owls to a 2-point.
A better job of adjusting out of there and seeing if they can get the ball moving just a little faster. I don't mind going into the double teams, but you know there's going to be an open man. It's up to you to find that open guy.
Marquez Fletcher Ellis has been a bright spot tonight. He's scored 9 points already, averages 8.3 a game, so he's exceeded that already here in the first half. But it's coming a game where Kulichov and Evans have combined to score just 2 for Rice.
You know, I think Mike Rhodes will take that, and that's something he's desperately been looking at all year. If some other guys can step up and they can get easier baskets, as a coach, you take that, Brett. You welcome that and say, hey, let's get everybody involved. It's just too easy to stop teams when there's 1 or 2 guys doing the load.
1 of 2 for Fletcher Ellis. Cosby got a lot of contact, no foul, but he gets the basket. Well, 9 points.
That's a great curl move, coming off the screen and just curling into the lane. And the defender was trailing him. That's exactly what you want to do. Curl in the lane and come up with a short floater. Great shot by Aaron Cosby.
Gersey, he's been running sprints around the side of the floor, but it leads to an open look at a from Connor Cashaw.
Well, he's found his range. When we had him last game, I had him last game, North Texas, and boy, did he shoot that basketball. He's still doing a great job. That's just a real welcome sight for the Owls.
See if Justin Johnson can get that first basket. There's the double team. Leads to an open look from Cosby, and he's hit 3 triples and scored 12 points.
There's the rotation we talked about, Brett. You must get that ball, that extra pass, and they found him. That's what happens against double teams. You absolutely have to make one more pass. You're not going to score directly out of a double team.
What a great save by Fletcher Ellis. That ball looked like it was headed for the backcourt.
Well, he's got pretty long arms. He
does.
He wasn't going to let that ball get there, but he's also very, very quick.
Gersey thought about the 3. Cashaw will take it instead. Great beginning. There's another freshman. Cashaw and Fletcher Ellis are having a first half.
Well, you're almost forgetting about Marcus Evans. You're looking at Connor Cashaw, and I think he thinks he's the leading scorer for the Rice Owls, but boy, is he playing some basketball.
Cosby with a step back. Tough shot. Rebound to Waters. He'll go right back up with it. No foul. Johnson tips it alive, and Waters gets it back again. And there's contact, and there's a foul going against Marcus Evans. And that'll be
here's the rotation again. Double team comes. The pass goes to the backside and it quickly gets rotated, and there's a tough shot. But, you know, that's what you have to do, Brett. You've got to make 2 and even 3 passes, and sometimes off of a rotation, drive it, because players are closing out on you, and you got to get out there, shot fake, and get to the rim.
Marcus Evans has to come out with his second foul. So Drone and Evans both have 2 fouls. Lawson had 2 early fouls for Western Kentucky.
Both teams in a zone, Brett. I like the call, changing things up. Teams are in a rhythm, so you try to change the rhythm by playing zone. And Rice has played the zone. They've gone to the 2-3, the 3-2, and they've done it effectively. But when you've got shooters on the perimeter, you know, makes you think about the zone. But I still like playing the zone. You just got to challenge up, get a hand up.
15 points for Aaron Cosby. He's the Illinois transfer. Kulichov will let one fly, and he's been a little bit off the mark tonight. Cosby to the rim. The tip won't go either.
Rice got to seal off that defensive board. They've been a little sloppy defensively on the glass last few possessions, and it's cost them. So they've got to get that rebound so they can get out in the transition and go. It's very important.
Chris McNeil chiming in with his first points of the night. Amir Smith with the pump fake, follows his miss and puts it back up and in.
Boy, has Rice done a good job tonight of staying with blocked shots. Most players get discouraged when their shots get blocked, Brett, but Rice has gone right back up and hasn't worried about it and just laid it back up.
Cosby with a turnover there. He had 15 points in this game, so that puts him at 1,000 in his college career. But a turnover might lead to points. Keshaw got too far deep under the rim. For Cosby, so he scored 1,000 points, but he's done so with a 17-point half.
What a great first half performance by Aaron Cosby. He is single-handedly keeping teammates know he's got it going on. It's so important in college basketball and team sports when you know a guy's got a hot hand and you go back to him. You got to find the guy that's really getting the job done for your team. You don't want to freeze out a guy that's making shots at the pace that he's making shots.
He scored 14 of his team's last 18 points. Former Illinois and Seton Hall transfer, so he's on his 3rd stop in his career, hoping to have a strong senior season. Now the Owls trailing. They need to find some answers on the offensive end. He just lost the ball. Got it back. The Western Kentucky bench wanted a turnover, and Kulichov will miss again, and he is 1 for 6, and he's 0 for 5 from beyond the arc.
Well, don't let him get going. Then Western Kentucky's going to have a long night. They're scoring without him. That's, again, a good sign when you can score without your top guys getting their averages. Means somebody else is stepping up. That's a welcome sight. Trust me, Brett, that's what coaches dream of, is getting somebody else involved.
Let one fly. Kulichov's had a hard time from distance, so he's going to go all the way to the rim this time. He got too far under. Amir Smith, the freshman, competing, but he kept the ball alive, and it leads to a run-out opportunity for the Hilltoppers. Who else? Cosby, a rare miss. Kulichov, his pass was deflected, taken away. McNeil the steal. 3-on-1 come the Hilltoppers, and then McNeil just lost the ball out of bounds.
Well, that's very uncharacteristic that Chris McNeil, of all people, loses the ball again. A little bit in a hurry. I thought he wasn't wide enough on the break. Let's look at it again. He did it against his competition all year long. But, you know, getting back to Chris McNeil, here's a guy that's been at the top assist-to-turnover ratio, not only in the conference, but in the country. So, as far as a freshman, so he's just got to come down, settle down, and give his team what he can do. He's such a good passer, uncharacteristic in that last sequence.
Marlon Hunter, the foul. And that'll put Rice in the bonus and send Connor Keshaw to the line. 59% free throw shooter for this freshman.
Well, that's been one of his Achilles, Brett, is, you know, Rice has been such a good free throw shooting team over the last year or two, amongst the conference leaders, I think on top of the conference a year ago. So if Connor can get his free throw percentage up, that's going to really help his squad.
Keshaw now with the dozen points. He was a high school teammate of Jalen Brunson in Illinois, a kid that was a McDonald's All-American, having a great freshman season at Villanova.
Chicago guy, Brett, my hometown. I always got to brag and kid him about it when I see him, but he's a fine-looking freshman from the state of Illinois.
Cosby. He's had some long-range shots. This time a drive to the basket, and he scored 20 in the first half.
Unbelievable. Thought he got fouled in the play as well, so he absorbed contact. Strong guys never get the foul call, but he scored it, and he might have got almost through the three-point opportunity.
Max Kersey to give to Letcher Ellis. Shot clock inside 10 for Rice. Without Evans on the floor, it's one less score. Kulichov trying to find the mark, and finally he hits the triple.
Well, Igor Kulichov's going to get credit for the basket, Brett, but that was all Max Kersey. That's knowing your teammates, drove, penetration had, turned, and then gave what was live. And Rice came out of there with a win, so that should be a confidence booster. They'd love to get back to that form. They've certainly been good at home, but they've got to go back just like all the teams in the league and establish on the road. But definitely confidence booster.
Ball will stay. Hilltoppers ball after the miss from Cosby. 3 ties, 5 lead changes here in an entertaining first half from the Tudor Fieldhouse on the campus of Rice University in Houston.
Well, we've got a great one here. These teams are getting after it. They're hungry, Brett. There's no doubt. They want to get on this winning track, and they're just doing everything they can, to get after it.
Great catch, like a wide receiver in the back of the end zone from Cosby to save that one.
Well, Ray Harper is going to take as much of this shot clock at least. He can't run it out, but he doesn't want to give Rice a lot of time coming back in the other direction. I like that call by Ray Harper. That's good coaching, and that's sound.
Chris Harrison docks. He's been scoreless in the first half. Good give. Waters got his shot partially deflected, and it still finds the bottom of the net.
Great look. Now Rice is going to come down and see if they can go back and take the lead with just under 10 to go.
Kersey. Kulichov well beyond NBA range, and he can't hit. And the first half with 3 ties and 6 lead changes the Hilltoppers.